Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second new member Q&A via Zoom for the month of November 2024. I'm Betsy Ko, and we've been doing these sessions for 2 years now. They happen twice a month, and they are for new and not so new members of WikiTree who just want to ask some questions in real time. And Zoom as a platform allows us to screen share, and so we can demonstrate what we're explaining a little more easily. I'm going to save my self-introduction for a little later, and you'll see why. But we're excited that all four of our regular co-hosts are here today. I'm going to turn it over to Murray to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Murray Maloney. I'm a retired writer, and I like to help out on this session because I remember how hard it was to get started on WikiTree, and we're here to help you figure that out and make yourself productive and keep building the tree.
Hi, Steve Greenwood. I have some wiki experience. Oh, here's a new person waiting to get in. One
I
second,
got it.
just
I got
admitted
it.
them.
Yep.
Again, I came into WikiTree back in 2020. I already had a lot of wiki experience. My first wiki is actually turning 20 years old next year. So, congratulations to them. But I had this strong interest in family history, and of course, WikiTree lined up perfectly with my interest at that time. And so, yeah, I've been here for over 4 years now, helping out. Again, I still have a lot of interest in the various projects like Germany Project and Notables Project, which I'm getting a little bit more into, a little bit more permission to work with those profiles, especially the living notables. Um, and just, yeah, furthering the tree. I mean, now that we've reached 40 million profiles, I mean, that's such a substantial number. We should be really proud of ourselves on that. And again, the idea is to keep going for accuracy, not just expansion. We want to make sure that we're an accurate source for information to help people find themselves on the tree. And I'm just trying to do what I can on my end.
And joining us from Wales. Hi, Hillary.
Hi, yeah, I'm Hilary. I've been on WikiTree since 2011. In fact, I was a greeter in 2014, and I've been a greeter for most of the time between 2014 and now. I'm still one of the greeters. I had a break for a period, so I'm also a project coordinator for the England and Wales projects because I live in Wales, but I've got most of my research is in England. So if you're stuck in those areas, I'm probably one of those people that can help you. I'm project coordinator for the Orphan Trail, which helps a lot of people that are new to the English records, much of which is shared with the Welsh records because we share a lot of our things in common. Our laws are very similar, have been for a long time. And I'm also a mentor as well. So I do, I like to try and help people when they're stuck. I know I am still working through my GEDCOM that I imported a long time ago because at that time you could import big GEDCOMs. So I can sympathise with anybody else that's uploaded a big GEDCOM and now not sure what to do. So although
Condolences.
it's not so bad now, they don't let you import so much. So
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to take and I hope this will become a regular part of our sessions. Is I'm going to take a little time at the beginning to present on a topic that all new members should know about as they're getting acclimated to WikiTree. And by the way, you may not wonder, what is this bizarre T-shirt I'm wearing? Well, this is a WikiTree newt. And newts are, well, we consider them new to WikiTree. So that's our nickname for those members who have joined, in the last 12, 18 months. And we actually have a fawn team for the newts, which I can tell you about another time. But our topic for today is G2G. And that and so it's the G, the number 2, G, stands for genealogist to genealogist. And it is our forum. It's a big forum for communication within the community. And I thought it would be helpful to take a little tour of G2G. So let me screen share. Okay, does everybody see? You should all be seeing the home page now, yes? Okay,
Yes.
great. So the first question, or the first thing is, how do I get there? And now in WikiTree, there's usually more than one way to get to a certain place, but here's a pretty foolproof way. At the bottom of the home page, you're just going to find this hyperlink that says G2G forum, and then it'll take you there. Now, I am going to say something up front just to save confusion down the road, that G2G it's part of WikiTree, but it's also not. So there are some things that are different. It's like its own platform. And so, for instance, you upload photos on profiles one way, but you do it a different way on G2G. G2G actually works a lot like probably the email platform that you're used to. You can embed links, you can do that sort of thing. So that's just something to keep in mind as you work with it. So let's take a look at these tabs at the top. Here, these are the top questions. If it's highlighted in yellow, that means it's been pinned to the top by our team. And these are things that are, well, super important, like, hey, we just topped 40 million profiles. We're in the middle of a profile page redesign initiative. So it's things that are headlines. And then below, then is everything else that in order of, how recently it was posted. Then you will see those. We have tabs for questions that have been unanswered. Now, like a lot of social media sites, not that WikiTree is a social media site, but if you are on social media, you are used to the idea of tags. Well, a lot of platforms use tags. So these are really great ways when you're getting involved to say you have a very strong interest in Canada. Well, you can go right to that Canada tag, and then see what are the posts recently that have been tagged with Canada that might be of interest to you. So that's not a feature I use a lot, but it's a really good one to keep in mind. If you're interested in seeing who's the most communicative, here's our list of users of G2G. Now let's talk about tags for a second, since I brought those up. If you look at your profile page up at the top, this section in gray is your genealogist section, which is actually separate from your biography and your details of birth and birth date and location and all that. So you would be able to edit it here. Now you can see that I'm already following these 20 tags. There's a limit. You can only follow 20 at a time. So if I wanted to follow something, I would have to do a little pruning. But if you are not following any tags yet, just go to the overall edit section, choice for this entire section, and then down at tags, you'll be able to add them. So why should you follow tags? Let me get back out of here. The reason you should follow tags is that if I go to my WikiTree feed, so here I am, my Well, actually, I think
I
I'll
saw
show it to
tags
you.
on my WikiTree drop down.
Yeah, my feed. My feed
Okay.
was the last last tab I wanted to show you. Okay, now this is my customized G2G feed that is based on my tags. So, you know, it just filters through to all the things that are of greatest interest to me. So, tags are wonderful. There are a few of them that we highly recommend, you know, regardless of your specific research interests, you should definitely follow announcements. That's, you know, the blasts to the community that are you don't want to miss are going to be there. And then WikiTree Love is a good one to follow. You could follow new members. And then you know, just start noticing what the tags are, and then start following some of them. So now let's ask a question. So there are a couple of ways that you'll see over here. I can ask a question from here. You can also, like I said, more than one way to get someplace. You can also do it here. Let's go ahead and do it from the tab. The question in one sentence. So please don't try and cram too much into this. So I'm going to use it as an example. Who are the parents of Thomas Menzies? Now, for newer members, you probably have a question either on a research question, or you have a question on how to get around WikiTree. My advice would be is if it's how to get around WikiTree, probably you want to keep it in the treehouse, which is where we ask more general questions. If it's a research genealogy question, I would recommend genealogy. Oh dear, I just lost myself. All right, let's try this again. I'm getting a couple of alerts that my internet is unstable. So if I disappear, Murray, Hillary, and Steve will jump into action. Who are the parents of Thomas Menzies? Okay, so I'm putting that in genealogy help. And you'll notice that the system is automatically going to come up with a couple of suggestions to make sure that I'm not asking a question that has already been asked. So I'm scanning these, and there doesn't really seem to be anything that duplicates. But if there were, that's also worth a look. So you also can see who on WikiTree is possibly interested in the same ancestors you are. Then I would come over here. Keep in mind when you write this text box, again, notice how similar it is to what you're probably already used to in email. So you can link things, you can bold, you can justify, you can put in a few emojis if you want. You can also add in an image, although that's a little trickier, and we're going to save that for another day. But here is where you're going to want to explain your question with as much information as possible. So I'm just going to add, give a couple of guidelines. I'm reading from my iPad here. Okay.
And if I could just bring up a really quick note, is that
Please.
it should be noted again on the G2G forum, it doesn't work like wiki markup does on the rest of the wikis. So if you want to bold something, you're not using the apostrophes, to do that. Or if you want to link something, you're not using the double brackets. You would have to go through basically this HTML format. Yeah. That's already integrated inside this program. Right. That's how you would make those links. That's how you would do those features.
So in a way, it's easier. It should be easier.
Well, wiki markup is probably a step up from what people are used to. Yeah. So, yeah.
So when you're asking for help on G2G, think about what you may have heard in genealogy seminars. Be sure you have a research question, and it should be clear and specific. It shouldn't be, I want to know everything I can about Thomas Menzies. That's way too broad. So something like even who were the parents of Thomas Menzies could be narrowed down to who was the father of Thomas Menzies. And then I would maybe put in something to make it specific to my Thomas Menzies. Who was the father of Thomas Menzies, who lived from this date to that date in Canastota, New York? That's a pretty good research question. Then share everything you know already. Explain your line of reasoning leading up to the question that you're answering. It's fine if it's really well laid out on that person's WikiTree profile, then you maybe don't have to put all of it in the post, but help people to help you is where you want to be coming from. Be
And if
sure.
you notice down below, there's the
Yep.
link to the ID URL of the person you might be talking about too.
Exactly. And so we are, let me show that. So if I have Thomas Menzies' profile pulled up here, and one thing you may not know about is that there's this section up here where you can copy the ID. You can copy the wiki link. That's something that you don't need for these purposes today, or you can copy basically the web address. So what you're going to do is I'm going to copy the ID and then come back, and down here, this is what's really helpful. You can put either that or the full web address. Then here I would add, here you want to do
Probably the last name.
names, Menzies.
Yeah.
He was born in Scotland. So if I tag Scotland, I'm going to get the attention of people in the Scotland project. And then he emigrated to New York. So that's probably good.
Oh, and you'll want to make sure there's an underscore in between
Oh,
New
yes.
York to keep that as a singular tag.
That's right. Thank
Yeah,
you, Steve.
the spaces are separating your text out.
Right.
No
That
comments or anything.
does
Yeah.
prompt you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Unless you want to look for new and York separately.
no, that would probably make things a little murky. So make sure that your profile that you're sending the readers to already reflects all the information that you know. So that people who want to help you don't go looking for something that you already know. That's sort of like, popping a balloon, when they come back all excited, like I found this, and you reply, oh, I knew that already. Well, so to avoid that awkwardness, make sure you share everything you know. If there are other profiles that are involved, let's see, I'm going to go back to Thomas and say that there's also some pertinent detail on the profile of his son, Andrew. Well, then what I can do is I can hyperlink that and say, see also, can't type, and Andrew Menzies. And then same as you would in an email program, I just hyperlink that, and then they would be able to easily go to the other profiles. If there's no profile yet, because for whatever reason, then make sure you state that, and you say why you haven't created the profile yet, and again, everything that you know. It's probably a good idea to go lightly on acronyms and abbreviations, because things that may seem like second nature to you might not be obvious to somebody over in Australia who's an excellent researcher, who might have something to help you with, except they have no idea what the series of letters you put in the post are. Now, as you go down further, there is this box here that says, email me if my question is answered or commented on. And you definitely want to leave that checked. In fact, I always leave it checked unless it's something like Sourceathon registration, where if I leave this checked, then I'm going to get an email alert for every single person who registers after me. That's the time to uncheck this. But if you leave this default setting of checked, then you will get an email every time someone responds to your post. And then be sure that you follow up. People might likely respond with some questions to try and help you. Make sure you give them any further information that you have that they need. And then if they come back, you get some new information out of it. We all want to help the big tree. So make sure you do include that in the profile so that, all the hard work doesn't go sort of just land in your brain or stay on G2G. We want to see it reflected in the profile, and by all means say thank you. Things I learned in kindergarten that are still true. Saying thank you is always a wonderful way to wrap up interactions on G2G. So that's then you ask the question, which I'm not actually going to do. But if I go to my, now I'm going to look, everybody will have a G2G profile. So from my profile page and the menu with my name, I'm going to go to my profile, my G2G profile. And here you'll see some of the same tabs, but also some different ones. So say I posted a question a week ago and I can't find it. I go here to my recent activity, and this will show me everything I did, whether I answered a post or here I asked for some, here's an example. I asked for some help on a will from Owen County. I tagged it with the surname Indiana Wills. I added the profile, and I got some answers. So that's really helpful when you're sort of digging back in time to see what has happened. And now also, if I want to be very sure that I don't lose this, I can make it a favorite. So this plus box up here, all I have to do is click it. And now when I go to my feed, you know what? I may have to go, anyone jump in if there's a better way to do this. I guess I have to go back to my user profile, my G2G profile.
Yeah, try that again.
Yeah. And now if I go to my favorite, then this is everything that I have sort of bookmarked for later. And then if I decide, let's see, well, this is past. So so if you want to take it out, if you want to tidy up, then you just unclick it. So, and finally, make sure you introduce yourself. So this is why I didn't really say much about myself at the beginning of today's livecast, because I thought I'd show you what my introduction was. So I won't read it to you exactly, but I talked about when I joined WikiTree, and where I enjoy hanging out in the community so far, and then my research interests. A little bit about how I got into genealogy, how I found WikiTree. And a lot of it, to be honest, I just sort of copied it from my introduction on my profile. But it's a nice way to say, say hi to everybody and to connect with people. I did have someone who also had interests in upstate New York, who wrote back. So there you have it. Hillary, Murray, Steve, what did I miss?
Being put on a spot.
I'm sure I missed something.
Well, can we go over the unanswered tab really quick? Because sometimes
Sure.
I
Mhm.
forget about what that does. It's like, so you have, okay, these are general questions that nobody has answered across all of G2G. So this could be a way for you to really help the community if you happen to find something that you're interested in that you might be able to assist someone with, and they're just kind of waiting. And obviously they're broken down by, I guess, how recent they were posted. So I mean, I like to say that people do respond to G2G fairly quickly because this feature does exist. Um, and even then, you still might have a question that's unanswerable. It just depends on how complicated it is. But that'd be a good place to check out if you're like perusing G2G and you want to see like what other people are asking questions about, and who knows, maybe you're able to figure out something for somebody and help them out.
Can I ask, what's the votes thing at the side in the green box?
Thank you for bringing that up, Susan. So this shows, it's just a way upvote it. It's a way to give a thumbs up. And there is a way to give a thumbs down, but we try very hard to keep things. Of course, courtesy is part of the honor code, so keep things polite and positive. So you will tend to see a lot more upvotes than downvotes. So for instance, if we go to this post about the profile page redesign,
Yeah, it's a good way to get feedback.
and then you will see over here how many people have seen the post. Great question.
Right. And then you just click on the arrow, do you, if you want to?
Yes, and in fact,
Okay,
I
good.
have not upvoted this, so there we go. Up to 88 upvotes.
Right, okay, thanks.
Right,
This
Murray.
is very important, actually. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things on this page that people will want to know for when it changes on their end. Navigation tabs, bars. So yeah, I'd recommend some
Yes,
to read this.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just the sort of the proposal so far. But yes, everybody should have a look at this, and you can see is tagged with announcements. So just follow that. If nothing else, follow the announcements tag.
And notice the best answer there. So scroll down a little bit. There you go.
Oh yeah.
So this one, so this is an alternate proposal from Anonymous Bremford, and he's taken a look at the proposal that Chris posted, and he took a look at a lot of the comments that were made, and then he offered an alternate way to look at the profile page, and they're looking at that closely.
Yeah, and so some let's see. Oh, that you just reminded me of something I didn't cover, Murray. Thank you. So that's something where when you have an answer, you can select it as the best answer by clicking that star. I wanted to just show, let me go back to my user Betsy Ko. Recent activity. Supposing, I forgot a few more tips on when you ask a question on G2G, proofread. And if you realize after you post it that there's something else that you need to change, you will see, here's my posted post. It's up there. But if I want to edit it, I just click on that, and it will take me back, and I can make whatever changes I want. So
Now, maybe just stay there for a second.
yeah.
And it says WikiTree profile John Livingston.
Yes.
Can you go click on that? Let's go look at John Livingston's profile and see what it did.
Oh, you mean here?
Yep.
Yep.
So you see in the top right there, it says seeking a will from Owen County, Indiana.
Yes.
So what will happen is if you ask a question and you tag the profile, then that'll be highlighted on that profile. So that means that anybody looking at that profile will see that there's a question pertaining to this person. That means anybody can investigate it. And it means also that it'll show up in G2G. So depending on which way you come at it, you're going to be aware that there's something going on with this profile, and there might be some useful information there.
Yeah, it's a very
Yeah.
smart feature.
Yeah.
Very often, what people do is especially in like pre-1700, there might be some issues about a profile. For example, they might have there might be a lot of uncertainty about who the parents are. And so people will write a G2G post to make a comment on that, to say, here's some advice before you work on this profile. And that'll give some information about the things that people have done, the research that people have done, et cetera, so that you don't just jump in and attach a parent when, several people have already looked at that parent and decided that, no, that's not the right parent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Anne has a
Anne.
question.
Yep. Anne, go ahead.
Yeah, could you go back one page to the,
To the post.
yes, to the post?
Okay.
Okay, and what are points? I always see like 102K points. Where are those?
Yes. So that's linked to your activity level on G2G. So I'm not sure of it's how they calculate it, but basically every time you put a post up, you get a point, or you get some number of points. Every time you upvote something, you get some points. And there are different levels. You can see I'm a G2G 6 pilot, but I don't know what the other levels are. But yeah, I think if we went under users, we might, well, you can see.
If you get to 1 million, you become an astronaut.
There you go. Okay.
So we're all pilots at like a couple thousand or so. I don't know what the threshold
Right.
is.
Yes, I'm a pilot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but then the really top ones, like anybody above 1 million, they've flown so far, they've gone so far, they've reached outer space, right? So now they're astronauts.
Okay, thanks.
It just goes to show like who's the most active on there. You can look at it really quickly and see like, oh, this person's probably going to be really fast to respond to me because they're fairly accurate. Or sorry, they're fairly active on G2G. So that I'm going to say that's like a quick way to ascertain that, if that helps.
Okay, thanks.
And I'll just sort of tie this portion of the session up by saying that there are many ways to learn your way around WikiTree. There's no one right way. For me, it was watching the LiveCasts that really made a difference. But I have heard a lot of people say that in the beginning of their time, they just sat down and poked around G2G and read posts, and they learned their way around that way. And I can totally see that. So if that's your style, if you just want to learn by exploring around G2G, and leave the treehouse and maybe go into Genealogy help or WikiTree help, that's another great place to go. You'll learn a lot. Great. Well, Sue, who's Zooming with us from London, has volunteered to be our person to ask questions today. Thank you, Sue. So, do you want to tell us a little bit more about when did you join and why did you join? And
yeah, I've been I've joined about 6 months ago. I think I just checked, it was in April. I've been interested in a sort of casual way in family history for quite a long time now. My mum wrote some stuff out for me years ago. And I joined Ancestry quite a few years ago and then left. I joined my local family history society, although my family don't come from this area. And then I can't remember how I found WikiTree. I must have just found it accidentally, I think. And I thought, oh, that sounds like a good idea. The fact that it's free and building up the family tree like for the whole world, I think is amazing. So I joined that, and I did get messages from a greeter, which could have been you, Hilary. I'm not sure. I can't remember now. And I did I did an orphan
Trail
trail.
for the
Um,
English project?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, great.
yeah. Um, and I had what do they call it? A trailblazer. Was Elaine Matson, who I gather is quite active. Um, yeah, she was very helpful as well. So I did some of the orphan profiles. I did find them quite hard because I couldn't always get the information. I couldn't find all the birth certificates or birth records. The GRO has a big gap for some reason between 18, I can't remember, 1837, is it? Anyway, and then after I finished that, I think I'm in the on the waiting list for qualifying for the earlier research now. But anyway, so I'm concentrating on mine now. There doesn't seem to be much of my family on the tree already. There was one or two that were there, but most of them I've had to add. They weren't brought in from somewhere else. I think there were one or two.
Mm.
Um, I don't know if you want to put my
Yes,
tree
yeah,
up.
I see that you're connected to the tree, so that's good. You have 51 connections. That's great.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Did you not know? Here, let me so if you let's see, let me come back to you. And screen share. There we go. Share. Okay. So here's Susan's profile. And so up at the top, it lets us know you did sign the honor code in April, your number of contributions, thank yous, and 51 connections. So
Right.
yeah, and you'll be able to see that for anyone.
Are the connections to other different trees?
So what that means is it means you are hooked into the big tree. So
Right.
usually when people join, unless they're from an extremely well-established family, they put in themselves and their parents, and for a period of time, you just have like a little floating branch. But there comes a time when you go far enough back where you go to create a profile, maybe it's your third great grandparent, and the system says, wait a minute, that person's already in here. And you go and you check it out and you say, yes, that is them. And so then you do not create a new profile. You just connect to that person. And that's when you're connected to the big tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Betsy,
Yeah.
a quick way of also seeing that you're connected is go to the very bottom and check out the connection finder. If it exists, then you know for a fact that you are connected into the tree. There it is, right?
What?
Okay, right
Yes,
there,
there it
underneath
is.
batches
There
and
it is.
merges.
Yes.
So this person is connected because it's showing the degrees that they're away from these various people, like Mel Blanc, Michael J. Fox, Alan Young, John Steinbeck, Walt Disney.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure I trust that. I don't know. I can't see.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Susan. So every week we have a theme. And this week's theme was mice in honor of Mickey Mouse's birthday, alleged birthday. And so it's fun. They pick all these people with some connection to mice. And then we look at their profiles. So let's see, you are closest to Walt Disney. No?
Mel
Oh,
Blanc,
water
31.
where
31 to
Mel
Mel Blanc. Yeah.
Okay, so then this is the connection path. And we actually have, I don't know if you noticed it, when we looked at questions, connections checkers is the game that we play every week to look at our connections and to go link by link and see if they're correct. So you're right to be skeptical, because, especially if it's a lengthy path, it might not be. This one would be tricky because you have there are a number of private individuals in here, but for instance, you could go and you could see, between John and James, do you really trust that they are siblings? And then is Mary really do we have concrete proof that Mary is the daughter of John? And so it's time consuming, but it's a lot of fun. It improves your little
I
branch
see.
of the tree and the overall tree.
And this doesn't have to be blood relation. You'll see that the colors change because of things that are marriages. So this can be through marriages, this can be through other relationships, and it's just the degrees that you're away from the person through all of those different connections. Now, if they were all one color, then that might indicate that there's actually a genetic relationship.
Mhm.
Right, okay. I think I don't trust it from 27 onwards. I'm not sure 26 is actually the mother of 27. I haven't
There
got
we
that
go.
far.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
and what I do is that I start with myself, so you can reverse the view, so you can see yourself and then go down to Mel.
Mhm.
Oh, right, I see,
Right,
yeah.
And
right.
And
that's
there's
a lot
also
Yeah.
the
easier for me to
alternative
look
view.
at it.
You can show the a generational path with that
Yeah.
button right there.
Yeah.
And this will visualize what's actually happening. You can see there's a lot of east-west going here on the page. left to right rather than backwards in time. So that, yeah, again, the private people here is the largest unknown, just because a lot of them may be privatized by some other user that is connected to those people. So this maybe won't be the best example, but if you looked at like Walt Disney, maybe there'd be a little bit more of a genetic connection,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
more of a direct pathway. And again, we're not saying that this is completely accurate, but that's where we want to go in and look at those relationships. That's why the connection game exists, just to make sure that those are accurate connections.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll do that.
It's
Look
just
at
a
that,
fun
John
game to
Cessna.
play.
That's cool.
Sorry, Anne, did you have a question?
Nope, it's just a fun game to play, like a lot of other games that are challenges that are on WikiTree.
Right.
But it
right.
helps. It's actually building the accuracy of the wiki.
Yeah. So, Susan, how can we help you specifically?
Well, it was more of a general getting to know it, which this has been very helpful for. Today I was looking at Rose Alice Gilmore.
Right, there she is.
Yeah. I don't know why her maiden name is in capitals.
It can be adjusted by the person who owns the profile.
Well, that's Susan. Susan's the profile manager. I think maybe you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you must have entered it in all as caps.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I think it's.
So
it's
you
probably-
would have to change it to capital G and then the rest of them lowercase to be consistent with the rest of the wiki.
Right.
Effectively,
Oh, wait a
the
minute,
last
there
name.
was
Go ahead.
If you go back down the bottom there, it says I've got the source. Oh,
No,
and
it's go below.
oh no, it was on the edit side.
Oh, on the edit page, sure.
Yeah, I had.
Oops, there we go.
I had an
Go down below.
in the sources. I had a reference that was
Oh, I see.
URO reference.
What is going? death. That should come out as an inline. So we have two kinds, just for everybody's general knowledge. We have two ways of citing sources on WikiTree. And one is just to create a list that appears under, it's a bullet list under sources. And what creates the bullet point is the little asterisks. The other way is, as you can see, we're in edit mode now. This will create an inline citation. And so this will be, it's nice because it specifically links to the fact. So the fact is she died on this date in this location. Here is the reference. So if I just go down to preview mode, it's going to look like this. She died, there's the sentence, and then reference 5. Yeah, so that looks fine. What was it that you,
One, that's the
But there's two
duplicate.
of them though.
there
There's
are
two.
two. Oh, I see.
That's
Right,
duplicating source 1. Okay.
right. Yeah.
But these are different. Oh, I see. It's duplicating the first. So you can just delete that.
Yes.
You don't need that because you're right. It is.
Because the
Number one is
birth
like,
index is going with the birth date.
Yeah,
Right.
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 Number
Uh,
one.
Yeah, just duplicate information. That's all.
Better duplicate than missing.
Is there a set way to do the biography, you know, so is there a set way, or because I wasn't sure whether to put all the censuses in under census, or I noticed on one of the example profiles they had residences, so all everywhere that she lived.
Right. So there's,
Okay.
I'm going to turn this over to Hillary to, since you're working more on English profiles. Hillary, do you want to answer that?
I'm actually one of the project coordinators for the Orphan Trail, so I know quite a bit about the English profiles. There is no set way of doing it. In fact, I've got profiles, old profiles in a certain format, and I've got newer profiles that I've decided I want to just create them like this now. So you don't necessarily need to have all your headings like the birth, marriage, death if you don't want to. What I've started doing with mine is I've written the biography in a chronological order at the start, then I've put a census heading in. As long as you put the census heading in the correct format with the correct number of equal signs either side, you won't get an error come. And I put all my census things at the bottom just because then it makes it nicer to read your biography, because you don't necessarily want to keep coming along each census thing. But that is because I like to include all the people or most of the people that are on the census. If it's the family, if it's somebody who's a servant in a big household, I've got it so that I perhaps only include the servant and maybe a couple of other people that are in the household. And I've included a thing so that we know who the head of the household is and that sort of thing, because I put links to them. But you don't have there's not a set way. The main thing is that you've got a reference, preferably in line, but if you don't know how to do inline, then put them below the sources and references with the asterisks in front, just so that we can see where your information comes from. It doesn't really matter, because some people like to actually write a nice narrative. Other people like to just lay out the facts.
Right. Okay. And some information, like I happen to have her death certificate myself. So it says where she died at 52 Quaker Street, but that's not on any record. Like it's not on the GRO indexes.
One thing I would say is that to avoid us getting errors, you're better off not putting the actual street address in the where it says like death place or birthplace or whatever. Just putting in like the actual place and the county, but put the full thing actually in the biography itself, so that you don't lose that information. Because otherwise, when we come to do things, it can bring up errors and things and that, and you might find somebody else will come along and they'll fiddle with your own profile if it's an open one and that, but it is you do need it on the profile, but not necessarily in the boxes there. We're trying to certainly for England and Wales, we're trying to encourage the people to just put the place, the county, the country. You can use United Kingdom in the right time period if you wish to, but you don't. It's not an absolute necessity. You just put the country as either England, Wales, Scotland, whatever. So just get it right. I mean, we're working on a lot of locations at the moment, so trying to get things so that it's easier for people that are not familiar with the locations. But that's a ongoing thing. But yeah, no standard otherwise, other than making sure that when you put your language, the WikiTree things in, that you put it so that it's not going to show up an error.
Right. Can I ask one more? If I buy a certificate, which I do, you know, for some of my direct ancestors from the GRO, am I allowed to take a photo of that and upload it? Or
I'll show you what I've got on one of mine. I'll just find one of my
yeah, and I will get out so that you can
share it. I just need to go back to me and find somebody. Then you can see what I've got on mine. Let's see, who do I go up to?
Can I add 2 comments before we move on to the next thing then? So I just wanted to talk about this profile really quick. I'll put my hand down.
Yeah. Hillary, can Steve interject for a minute?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the profile.
Sure.
So
Seems like we're moving on. So, so yeah, the first thing on that profile, yeah, having that explicit information on the street is great, but like she said, yeah, putting it in the biography is going to be where you want to put it. I think because of mapping, because the way that it looks at locations, especially when you get into the apps and it starts to track people based on their locations, obviously you won't be able to search by the address. So it'll just want the place name. And that's also, you know, the way it drops down to, again, it's all integrated into the software. Second thing I wanted to talk about really quick was, yeah, on your biographies, like Hillary was saying, generally chronological, you know, you'll want to at least get all the data in the right order. And then depending on the amount of information that you have, like that might determine when you start adding different subsections or subheadings to them. So as an example, like on one of my ancestors, because I have a lot of information over about, 6 decades or so, I broke them down into spans of 2 decades each. So I said, like, birth to, 1890 or birth to, 1900, 1901 to 1920, etc. And I kind of did it that way because then that allowed me to see all the different stages of his life and allowed me to place all the different censuses in the right area, and anything I found in the newspapers, I could put them in those right spots. And then when you look at the profile, it's much more legible because it's not just a single paragraph or so. So those were just my 2 cents I wanted to bring up regarding that. And Hillary can take over again.
Yeah, thank you.
And I can find a profile that I've got. I can't find a profile that's got a certificate on it, but I have
Hillary,
scanned certificates.
I have one. Do you want me to show?
Yeah, by all means.
Okay. Keep talking while I find it.
Yeah. It's really. I mean, I have got other things on my profiles, but I know I've got some with certificates on, but can I find the ones that I've got certificates on? No, not in a hurry.
Yeah, it was just because they were saying about copywriting.
You can do it, and you can put it up on there. There is I can't remember where I found it, but I did find something before I uploaded any of mine, but I only tend to upload and put them on if there's somebody quite historical, obviously, that you're going to actually an ancestor sort of 2 or 3 generations up that are going to be open rather than somebody that's going to be living, because depending on how you have your privacy set, the living ones, you might not want some of that information on to be public.
Yeah, thank you.
Huh. I thought that I had well, here's what I did: order the certificate for one of my ELEs. But but oh, yes, yes. Okay, I have found it. Okay, here I go. Share. There. Okay. So this is I think my third great grandfather, Isaac Ely. And I think I would not normally show this baptismal record, but there was there were a lot of Isaac Elys floating around the area, and there was confusion. So what I did, and I think I explained this in the research notes, yeah, several men by the same name, and I really wanted to make the case that I was talking about a specific one. So that's why I showed the baptismal record. And then this is, Hillary, I won't be offended. Did I do everything correctly?
I've got mine saved differently, so I can, and I found one now, so I can share.
Oh, okay.
So we can see
All right.
how we've done things differently.
Sure.
Yeah.
Here, I'll get out to allow you to get on.
Yeah.
And maybe explain what you're talking about when you say certificate.
Yes, of course. So the certificate is a birth, just a vital record, like a birth, marriage, or a death certificate that you can order from the General Register office, registry office. That's, I guess, the centralized holder of British vital records.
So in Britain, they use the word certificate rather than record.
Yeah, we're
finding.
yeah.
And the reason that we're having this
yeah.
question is the question is whether or not it's okay to publish that certificate on our tree, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But there is I think there's something on their website that says you can use it for, you can, as long as you don't make out, you don't have something so that they people can't share this, can they? So if they shared that, they'd be sharing a degraded image, so it wouldn't be quite the same. So so I have put the birth certificate, marriage, and the death certificate for this particular ancestor of mine.
And rules are different in Britain than other countries. In America, there may be a bigger copyright issue. So you gotta be able to do that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's sort of showing you. I've got mine at the side there. I haven't included it in the actual biography. It's actually on the profile just as images.
And where did you, Hillary, where did you get that birth certificate?
I ordered them from the General Register office in England years ago. I mean, that one, if I go to my images for this person, I'll show you, it'll show better. Yeah,
that's cool. That's a really nice photo.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so you received this from official government source.
Yeah.
And you made the copy.
And I scanned it. Yeah.
You scanned it.
Yeah.
So now I don't know what the rules are in England. I know that in the United States, if a government agency produces a document, it can't be copyrighted. Well, let me put that differently. If a government agency creates a document and you get that document from that agency or through an intermediary of that agency, then you can copy it and you're free to go. But if some organization, for example, Ancestry, has indexed all these documents and put them into a collection,
contract law,
they have a copyright.
Yeah, it's not a copyright. It's a whether you breach your terms of your agreement with the
contract law.
So,
is what it is.
Yeah. So in that case, you if you find an image of something on Ancestry or somewhere else, then you probably can't copy that and probably don't want to copy that, or we don't want you to copy it because we don't want to fill WikiTree with lots of images that don't belong to us. It's much more polite to provide a link to that, so where somebody else could look at it.
Yeah, if there's an accessible Ancestry sharing link, of course.
Yeah. You see, I've actually put on there that I scanned this, so therefore we know that was scanned by the person. So And I usually do things like that. Either put I scanned this, or I've got this in my position if it's a photograph.
Because so
Right.
long ago, maybe you forget sometimes, and it's just good to have that track record.
Yeah.
It's time stamped and everything.
Mm.
Well, we've come to the hour, not that we're strictly bound by that, but I will put out a last call for urgent questions, and we certainly can take a question or two more. Susan, anything else?
I don't think so. I was just having a look. I mean, I just need to do a lot more work. I just get confused. I get so easily, like, you're looking at one person and then you think, oh, I'll try and have the father, and then you're on the father, and then you're on. So, do you know what I mean? I'm
Rabbit hole.
finding it.
Oh, yes. You get lost in the leaves. Yes.
Are you working on just one
Yeah.
screen, or do you have multiple screens? Like, how are you spreading the information out when you're viewing it?
No, I just have one screen. I just
Okay.
have different tabs open, and then I end
Mhm.
up. I've got about 20 tabs, and then I
Yep.
think, oh, I better
That's
stop
me on a
now.
standard day. Yep.
Me too. Well, thank you everyone for coming.